is Yvonne Kuchta, and I am a business professional. I grew up on a farm, so I have this farm. I'm a farm girl at heart. And then I went into the business world, which I loved, and kind of full circle came back to an industry that was all about balance and plants and finding wellness with nature. And that kind of led me to down a strange path, which had me bump into Crystal and her work. And that was a very unexpected relationship kind of came out of that, where I watched her interact with her family and her children, in fact, and saw some things that she was doing with them, and I was intrigued by that because I have kids. And so I reached out to her and I just said, "Hey, I saw you, have this conversation with your kids, and I would love to learn more about that."
Mm-hmm.
And what was amazing in that conversation was I thought she'd start talking to me about, what I did or didn't feed my kids or what our practices are. But that wasn't at all what we talked about. What we started to talk about was my own boundaries in life, not even food related, like just work-life balance and making decisions that came from a place that was right for me. And as we were talking about that, it just had this amazing like ripple effect on looking at the boundaries and how our family operated in making decisions in general. The first time, for sure, it was all about like um, me trying to create boundaries so my kids weren't just clambering in the pantry and the fridge all day.
Right.
And so that was initially the piece that I just wanted a solution for that.
Yeah.
And it was just became so much more than that, for sure. Like I realized that by making some adjustments to the way I thought about food and my own health and just the decisions I was making, that I felt better, that I had more energy, and that I knew deep down like what was the right health decisions, and Crystal helped me bring that forward to be just a normal part of how I live my life.
Mm.
Well, I think still it comes back full circle. So we started out like talking about the kids, and in the path, it was certainly diving into my own health. But the part that I'm most proud of is that the impact has impacted our whole family, and our whole family has been healthier for it. The kids, my husband, myself. And so now, like collectively as a group, we're making better decisions, we're having more fun, and we feel better. So although it was just me doing the coaching initially, now my husband is excited to do it too, but initially it was just me, and yet the impact impacted all of us. And my kids are like 3 and 4, so these are not like people that we can have rational conversations with. This is just like leading by example, and that being enough to create change. Well, one that comes to mind, I think, is that when I would make a choice that I labeled as unhealthy, like say I went to Starbucks and drank this huge hot chocolate with all this whipping cream, that I not only would like consume that quite quickly, probably because I felt like sort of guilty about it, but then I kind of would start this dialogue in my head of like, oh, Yvonne, if you do this every day, like this isn't going to be a good decision. Where now that I work with Crystal is if I choose to drink a hot chocolate or a bag of chips, I just trust that I have enough strength and knowing, and I trust myself enough to know that in general I make really great decisions for the right reasons. And so I enjoy my hot chocolate or my bag of chips or whatever, and there's no additional emotions that go along with it. I just keep going, and I'll have a salad for supper or whatever, and there's just less anxiety around those decisions. Allows more energy for other things. Going out after supper and playing tag with the kids, or having a dance party, or going for a walk with my husband, and it's just there's less energy going towards anxious stuff. Yeah, one interesting thing that came up pretty early on in the coaching was that I was at times, like probably like many moms, like putting other people's needs before mine, both my kids and like even in a professional business setting. If I was having a meeting and I was really thirsty or hungry or frankly even needed to go to the bathroom, and I would not want to get food or whatever because that might make the other person feel uncomfortable or whatever. And now I just go like, I need to nourish myself so that I can serve the other person that I'm sharing this time with. And if that means I need to say like, I'm really hungry, and so I'm not being my best self right now, and I just need to go and find a granola bar, or I need to order something to eat, um, that I do that, and I put that first so that I can then function in the way that I can best function for them.
Mm.
And even, if I had a speaking engagement, I would be, maybe rushed, and I'd want to make sure I got there so I could support the people before the event and not necessarily have supper. And then at the end of the night, I knew that my brain wasn't quite working right because I hadn't eaten since lunch. And now I just create this space and I go, no, I'm stopping and I'm eating.
Mm.
And if that means somebody has to wait for me, then I guess they do. But I need to nourish myself so that I can be the best me. I even struggle to explain it. The
It's tough.
impact has been so much more than just, it's certainly more than like weight loss or fitting in your jeans or anything. Like it's been an impact in my all areas of my life. But I think that one of the things that surprised me most is there was no like, you must fit into a box and, cut out dairy or cut out gluten or, um, exercise 5 times a day or go on this meal plan. There's none of that. And frankly, I wasn't interested in that anyways. I've never been drawn to that. And so that was probably the most surprising thing. But to articulate, like just broadly, I think that once our health becomes a priority and we start to be aware of it and we take time for it, when our body is functioning right, the other pieces start improving. Man, it's hard to pick one, but a couple that kind of come to mind is the weekly thing. I think was critical, having a weekly touch point with somebody who would help say like what in reflection from this week,
Mm.
and based on what we learned, we talked about last week, like what piece of that helped you be closer to, your ideal self or your goals, and then celebrating that, embracing that, and then building on that piece. So
Mm.
the weekly piece I think really helps, and also some of the stuff we did with, really anchoring a learning so that it wasn't like, oh, that's a fascinating thought, and then like it's gone. Um, Working with a health coach says, okay, that's the piece that you think can be a big help. How do we make that fit into the week? Like, what is it really going to look like rather than just a nice idea? And Crystal has such a great gift of saying, let's be honest about this. Like, don't just say, you know, we're going to drink 8 glasses of water a day if we don't actually have a plan to do that. It is
Oh, you
not a
kind of
diet
touched on that a
plan.
bit.
Yeah, not
Yeah.
a diet plan. It
Okay.
is not a meal plan. It is not a weight loss program unless you wanted it to be. It could be. Um, and it is not a it's not a kick in the ass like every week being like, you should know better, you should do better. It's not that. It's to the other spectrum of like, what's working for you, let's work on that. I would say don't be afraid to commit the resources to do it. And by resources I mean both money, but even a bigger piece of that is time. In our situation, it was a weekly thing, and I have a business. My husband has a business. We have kids. Life is busy, and carving out time is, a modern day challenge, right, for all of us. But that 1 hour a week, um, gives you back so many other hours in freedom to do stuff, because of the energy that you gain and the insights and just the way things fall into place. So yeah, to commit the resources to do it. I see like a lot of, because I'm a woman, I think it's great for men and women, but I see a lot of men and women who are super, busy, right? Like they're busy with their jobs or they're running businesses, and they're taking care of a lot of other people, employees, family, everything. Um, and they're not necessarily even aware of what is going on in their own body, right?
Mm.
And just I think those people can benefit so greatly in being able to do their jobs better, to serve people better, if they take enough time to say what is going to make me function optimally.
Mm.
And so people who want to just function to their max, should check out health coaching. I think
for
I'd like
people
to
to know.
share, I have had different experience with some different coaches. The thing that is for me most appealing about working with you, Crystal, is that there's there's no energy put into what hasn't what isn't working. All the energy goes into like what is working and moving forward with that, and also the relatability that you offer makes not makes it feel, but I mean, frankly, we're all connected and nobody's alone. But it was really like, you and everybody else is going through this too, Yvonne, and you're going to be great and better because of it. So it's okay.
Mm.
You're safe, and we're doing this.
Yeah.
Well, I think that I looked back on like the 9 weeks and how far we came, and I just go like, wow, knowing that a person, and I consider myself, pretty well studied, and I work on personal development all the time. To know that you can grow that much in an amount of time, grow your ideas, feel better, like feel healthier, be doing stuff that you're really proud of in 9 weeks, and you go like, why would I not want to continue growing?
Mm.
I think that and I have probably had periods of time in my life where my growth was pretty stagnant, but if we're, the alive part of feeling alive is when we're growing. So
Mm-hmm.
how could you pass that up?
Awesome. And the fact that it felt like 9 weeks because it was actually 12. Too funny.
Well, I think that I would grab an idea that Crystal shared with me, and I'd be so excited to share it with my family, and they were like, "Oh, this is really great," and we would, try it at mealtime, or try it, in the evening or whatever, and and they were like, "This is neat that you're learning this stuff." And I think they saw the changes in me, and were just very open to when I said, hey, if you want to work with Crystal, like, there's an opportunity to do that. And there's, obviously a certain amount of trust that your family and friends have with you, but when they see great stuff happening, they're attracted to that, right?
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
And I'm stoked because my husband, is not necessarily somebody who has ever been very inquisitive about his health or anybody else's health or health in general, right? And so for him to be like curious or open to even exploring that, like what that means for him, I'm really excited for him. Yeah, no, thank you, Crystal. Like you've impacted my life, you've impacted our family's life, and if we, we're never to coach again, like the Kuchta family and how we function around, particularly around meal times and the idea of nourishing ourselves, each other, the entire family, and our kitchen table would never be the same.
Mm. Thank you.
So,
Thank you.
thank you.